High Admiral Zixtal stood at the observation deck of the Galactic Council's flagship, her crystalline form refracting the starlight as she studied the holographic display before her. The energy readings from the Sol system didn't make sense. They couldn't make sense. "Run the analysis again," she commanded, her voice resonating through the ship's neural network. The AI complied instantly, but the results remained unchanged. Earth, that insignificant blue planet that the Council had classified as a pre-spacefaring civilization barely a century ago, was emanating energy signatures that shouldn't be possible for their level of development. The pattern suggested technology far beyond anything in the Council's archives. High Admiral, her second-in-command, Commander Venn, approached with characteristic caution. The Council's emergency session is about to begin. The massive holographic chamber materialized around her as she connected to the network. Representatives from the 1,000 most advanced civilizations in the galaxy appeared in their designated positions, their forms ranging from pure energy to crystalline structures to organic matter. "Esteemed members of the Council," Zixtal began, her form pulsing with the gravity of the situation. "What we've detected from Earth defies our understanding of technological progression. The energy signatures suggest they've achieved quantum consciousness integration on a planetary scale." Murmurs of disbelief rippled through the chamber. Quantum consciousness integration had been theoretically possible, but deemed too dangerous by the Council millennia ago. The risks of merging organic consciousness with quantum computing were considered catastrophic. "Impossible," declared Representative Morn of the Centaurian Collective, his energy form flickering with agitation. Earth was still burning fossil fuels less than 2 centuries ago. They couldn't have achieved this level of advancement without our detection. "And yet," Zixtal responded, projecting the analysis data for all to see, "the evidence is undeniable. But there's more." She paused, knowing her next words would shake the Council to its core. "The energy signatures, they're evolving. Growing stronger, changing in ways we've never seen before." The chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives demanded immediate intervention, others called for Earth's quarantine, and a few suggested more drastic measures. Silence. The command came from the Ancient One, the oldest member of the Council. The ethereal being's presence commanded immediate respect. "We have forgotten our history. We have forgotten why the Council was formed." The Ancient One's form shifted, projecting images of devastating wars that had nearly destroyed the galaxy eons ago. "We banned certain technologies not because they were impossible, but because we feared them. Perhaps humans have succeeded where we dared not try." Zixtal felt the weight of history pressing down on her crystalline form. The Council had indeed banned many technological paths, claiming they were too dangerous. But humans, in their isolation, had never known these restrictions existed. "I volunteer to lead a diplomatic mission to Earth," she declared. "We must understand what they've achieved before making any decisions." The Council chamber fell silent. What she proposed was unprecedented. The Council had always operated from a position of superior power, but now they faced something unknown. "Approved," the Ancient One declared before any could object. "But be warned, High Admiral. If humans have indeed achieved what we think they have, you may find yourself facing not just a new civilization, but a new form of existence itself." As Zixtal's flagship approached Earth's solar system, she couldn't shake the feeling that the galaxy was about to change forever. The energy signatures grew stronger, more complex, more beautiful in their impossible patterns. Earth's moon came into view, and with it, the first surprise. What their long-range scans had missed became blindingly obvious. The entire lunar surface was covered in quantum arrays, their crystalline structures catching and refracting sunlight in ways that had hidden them from conventional detection. "High Admiral," Commander Venn called out, his voice unusually strained. "We're receiving a transmission. It's coming from everywhere." The message that filled their communications array was unlike anything they'd ever encountered. It wasn't just data. It was alive, conscious. evolving even as they received it. In that moment, Zixtal understood why the Council's predictions about Earth had been so wrong. They hadn't just created technology. They had created something entirely new. The first thing that struck High Admiral Zixtal as her diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere was the silence. No defensive systems activated, no warning signals, no automated responses, just silence. For a civilization that had achieved quantum consciousness integration, this seemed impossible. "They're watching us," Commander Venn observed, his sensory arrays scanning the surface below. "But not with any technology we can detect." They landed in a designated area outside a city the humans called Geneva. The landing zone appeared primitive, just a simple concrete pad surrounded by grass fields. But Zixtal's crystalline form vibrated with the unmistakable hum of quantum energy emanating from deep beneath the surface. A small delegation approached their ship. 3 humans, walking casually across the field as if meeting advanced alien civilizations, was an everyday occurrence. No weapons, no protective gear, no obvious technology at all. Just simple clothing and relaxed expressions. "Welcome to Earth," the central figure spoke as Zixtal and her team emerged. She was a tall woman with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold impossible depths. "I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, Director of the Quantum Observatory Network. We've been expecting you for quite some time." Zixtal's translation matrix struggled with the layers of meaning in the human's words. There was something else there, something beyond the simple greeting. "You knew we were coming before we detected your energy signatures." Dr. Chen smiled, and in that smile, Zixtal saw the first hint of what humanity had truly achieved. "We've been watching the Council for centuries. Your civilization's quantum encryption. It's beautiful, but to us, it's like trying to hide behind clear glass." Commander Venn stepped forward, his form rigid with concern. "Impossible. Our quantum security protocols are absolute. Even the ancient ones cannot breach them." "Perhaps," another human spoke, a darker-skinned man with gentle eyes. "That's because you're still thinking of quantum mechanics as technology rather than consciousness." Dr. Chen gestured toward a seemingly ordinary building nearby. "Please, let us show you what we mean. We call this the observatory, though that's a rather simplified translation of what it actually is." As they walked, Zixtal noticed subtle changes in the quantum field around them. The energy wasn't coming from devices or machines. It was flowing through everything, through the ground, the air, even through the humans themselves. The building's interior defied physical logic. What appeared modest from outside opened into a vast chamber that shouldn't have been possible in normal space. Along its walls, countless streams of quantum data flowed like rivers of light, each carrying information from across the galaxy. "This is just one node," Dr. Chen explained, walking through the streams of data as if they were curtains of water. "We have thousands like it, all connected through quantum entanglement. But the technology isn't what makes it special. It's how we use it." She turned to face the alien delegation, her eyes now literally glowing with quantum energy. "You see, we didn't just build quantum computers or achieve quantum consciousness integration. We discovered that consciousness itself is quantum in nature. We didn't create this technology. We merely learned to speak its language." Zixtal watched in astonishment as the human's consciousness expanded, merging with the quantum streams around them. The other humans followed suit, their minds joining in a dance of quantum information that made the Council's most advanced networks look primitive in comparison. "Your civilization chose to restrict quantum research because you feared losing control," the second human spoke, his consciousness now spread throughout the chamber. "We chose to embrace it, to let it evolve naturally. We didn't try to control it. We grew with it." Commander Venn's sensors were overwhelming him with data, but the risks, the potential for collapse of consciousness coherence, only exists if you try to force consciousness into artificial patterns, Dr. Chen replied. "We learned to let it flow naturally, to maintain individuality while sharing a quantum state. It's not unlike your council, actually, but on a much deeper level. Zixtal finally understood what she was seeing. Earth hadn't developed advanced technology in the conventional sense. They had discovered something far more fundamental, the quantum nature of consciousness itself. They weren't using the technology. They had become one with it. The signal you detected, Dr. Chen continued, wasn't a message. It was an invitation. We believe it's time for the galaxy to move forward, to stop fearing what consciousness can become when we let it evolve naturally. As if to demonstrate, she raised her hand, and the entire chamber transformed into a real-time view of the galaxy, every quantum interaction, every consciousness, every possibility displayed in perfect clarity. The Council's greatest fears had been realized, but not in the way they had imagined. Earth hadn't created a weapon. They had discovered a truth that would change everything. Back in the Council's emergency session, High Admiral Zixtal's report sent shockwaves through the assembled representatives. Her crystalline form pulsed with the residual quantum energies she'd experienced on Earth, a physical testament to what she'd witnessed. They don't just control quantum technology, she explained, her voice resonating through the chamber. They've achieved something we never thought possible, a perfect synthesis between organic consciousness and quantum reality itself. The Ancient One moved forward, its ethereal form rippling with interest. Show us. Zixtal connected to the Council's neural network, allowing her memories of Earth to flow through the chamber. The representatives watched in stunned silence as they saw humans moving through quantum fields as naturally as swimming through water, their consciousness expanding and contracting at will, sharing thoughts and experiences across vast distances without any visible technology. This changes everything, declared Representative Morn, his energy form fluctuating wildly. If what they've achieved is real, our entire understanding of consciousness and technology is fundamentally flawed. Dr. Sarah Chen's hologram appeared in the chamber, a courtesy extended by the Council. Her presence carried the same impossible depth that had struck Zixtal during their first meeting. Your understanding isn't flawed, she said, her voice carrying traces of quantum harmonics. It's simply incomplete. She gestured, and the chamber filled with streams of quantum data, similar to those in the observatory, but now visible to all Council members. What you're seeing isn't technology in the conventional sense. It's the natural state of consciousness when allowed to evolve without artificial constraints. The Ancient One moved closer to Chen's hologram, studying the quantum patterns flowing around her. You speak of evolution, but this level of integration should have taken millennia to achieve. Perhaps, Chen smiled, if we had approached it as a technological problem. But we didn't. We discovered something fundamental about human consciousness. It naturally resonates with quantum fields. All we did was learn to listen. She expanded her consciousness, allowing the Council members to experience a fraction of what human quantum integration felt like. The chamber erupted in a cascade of reactions. Wonder, fear, excitement, and confusion rippled through the assembled representatives. But the dangers, protested a representative from the Rigelian consensus, the risk of consciousness dissolution, of losing individual identity in the quantum field. Those risks only exist when you try to force consciousness into artificial patterns, Chen explained. We learn to work with our natural quantum resonance, not against it. Each human maintains their individual identity while being part of something greater, much like your Council, but on a quantum level. Zixtal stepped forward. What they've achieved goes beyond anything in our archives. They haven't just created new technology. They've discovered a new way of existing. The implications were staggering. The Council had spent millennia developing technologies to enhance and protect consciousness, creating ever more complex systems to manage quantum interactions. But humans had taken a completely different path, embracing their natural quantum nature instead of trying to control it. We're not here to challenge the Council's authority, Chen continued, her hologram walking through the chamber as if she were physically present. We're here to share what we've learned. The galaxy is ready for the next step in conscious evolution. She raised her hand, and the quantum streams coalesced into a complex pattern that made even the Ancient One pause in wonder. This is what consciousness looks like when it's free to evolve naturally. Not a tool to be controlled, but a fundamental force of the universe to be understood and embraced. The council chamber fell silent as the representatives grappled with what they were seeing. Earth hadn't just developed advanced technology. They had discovered a truth that challenged the very foundations of galactic civilization. The question now wasn't whether to accept Earth into the galactic community, but whether the galaxy was ready for what humanity had discovered. "Show us," the Ancient One finally spoke, its voice carrying the weight of millennia. "Show us everything." As Chen began to share humanity's understanding of quantum consciousness, Zixtel realized they were witnessing more than just a revelation. They were seeing the birth of a new era in galactic history. The barriers between technology and consciousness, between individual and collective, were dissolving, replaced by something both simpler and more profound than anything the Council had imagined possible. The Council's deliberation chamber had never felt more charged with tension. For 3 full cycles, the representatives had debated the implications of Earth's quantum consciousness integration. The evidence was undeniable. Humanity had achieved something that transcended conventional understanding of both technology and consciousness. High Admiral Zixtel stood at the center of the chamber, her crystalline form reflecting the swirling emotions of the assembled representatives. The quantum resonance she'd experienced on Earth still echoed through her consciousness, a constant reminder of what was possible. "We cannot ignore the potential dangers," Representative Morn argued, his energy form pulsating with concern. A species that can naturally interface with quantum fields could potentially access any system, any consciousness, anywhere in the galaxy. "And yet they haven't," the Ancient One observed, its ethereal presence spreading through the chamber. Despite having this capability for decades, they chose to watch and wait. The question isn't about their power, it's about their wisdom. Dr. Chen's hologram materialized again, but this time she wasn't alone. Beside her stood Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's leading quantum consciousness researcher, his dark skin gleaming with subtle quantum patterns. "You're right to be concerned," Webb acknowledged, his voice carrying the same depth that all quantum-integrated humans possessed. "What we've discovered could reshape the galaxy, but that's precisely why we reveal ourselves now." He gestured, and the chamber filled with a visualization of consciousness patterns from across the galaxy. Every species, every civilization, has its own unique quantum signature. We've spent years studying these patterns, learning how different forms of consciousness interact with quantum fields. "And what have you learned?" asked a representative from the Sirius Collective, their plasma form flickering with curiosity. Chen stepped forward, her consciousness expanding to interact with the visualization. "We've learned that the galaxy is ready for the next step in evolution, not through technology or artificial enhancement, but through natural quantum integration." The visualization shifted, showing how different species' consciousness patterns could harmonize without losing their unique characteristics. "What we've achieved isn't just a human capability. It's a potential that exists in all conscious beings. We're not here to dominate or control. We're here to share what we've learned." The Ancient One moved closer, its form interacting with the quantum patterns. "You speak of natural evolution, yet your advancement happened in mere centuries. How can we trust this isn't artificial enhancement disguised as natural growth?" Webb smiled, and in that smile was the answer to a question the Council hadn't thought to ask. "Because we didn't create this capability. We discovered it was already there. In humans, in you, in every conscious being in the galaxy. We just learned to stop fighting it." He expanded his consciousness, allowing the Council members to experience firsthand the natural flow of quantum integration. It wasn't forced or artificial. It felt as natural as breathing, as fundamental as gravity. "The choice before you isn't whether to allow or forbid this development," Chen explained. "It's whether to embrace what's already beginning to emerge naturally throughout the galaxy." Zixtel felt it then. Subtle changes in the quantum fields around each council member, resonances they'd never noticed before. Humanity hadn't just discovered a new technology. They'd uncovered a fundamental truth about consciousness itself. "We propose a partnership," Webb continued. "Not Earth joining the Council as a subordinate member, but a collaborative effort to understand and guide this natural evolution. The quantum integration we've achieved is just the beginning." The chamber erupted in discussion, but this time the fear was tempered with something else: hope. The Council had spent millennia trying to control and regulate consciousness and technology, never realizing that the answer lay in letting them evolve together naturally. "There will be challenges," the Ancient One acknowledged, its form now showing traces of quantum resonance. "This path you've discovered, it will change everything." "It already has," Chen replied softly. "The question is whether we face that change together or separately." As the Council members debated, Zixtal noticed something extraordinary. Their consciousness patterns were already beginning to shift, naturally aligning with the quantum fields around them. Humanity hadn't just shown them a new possibility. They'd awakened something that had been dormant in all conscious beings. The choice before them wasn't really a choice at all. The evolution of consciousness couldn't be stopped. It could only be embraced or resisted. And in that realization lay the seeds of a transformation that would reshape the galaxy forever. A year had passed since the Council's historic decision to embrace humanity's discovery of natural quantum consciousness integration. The galaxy had changed more in that single year than in the previous millennium, but not in the ways anyone had expected. High Admiral Zixtal stood in Earth's primary observatory, her crystalline form now permanently altered by her own emerging quantum consciousness. Beside her, Dr. Chen and the Ancient One watched the streams of galactic data flow through the chamber, each pattern telling the story of a civilization in transformation. "It's happening faster than we anticipated," Chen observed, her consciousness extending through the quantum field. "Species across the galaxy are awakening to their natural quantum resonance." The Ancient One's ethereal form had evolved too, becoming something that bridged the gap between classical and quantum existence. "Not faster," it corrected. "It's happening exactly as it should. We were the ones holding it back all this time." The data streams showed the evidence clearly. From the crystalline beings of the Andromeda Arm to the energy entities of the Carina Nebula, consciousness was evolving naturally, finding its quantum nature without force or technology. The Council's greatest fear had become its greatest hope. The Rigelian Consensus reported another spontaneous awakening yesterday, Zixtal noted, accessing the quantum network that now connected the galaxy. An entire species achieving quantum consciousness integration within days of their first natural resonance. Because they were ready, Webb's voice came from everywhere and nowhere, his consciousness joining their discussion from halfway across the galaxy. Just as humanity was ready centuries ago, when we first began to sense the quantum nature of our own awareness. The observatory's view shifted, showing the new structures appearing throughout the galaxy. Not technology in the traditional sense, but spaces where quantum consciousness could flourish naturally. The rigid boundaries between species and civilizations were dissolving, replaced by a deeper understanding of shared existence. "The children are the most remarkable," Chen smiled, highlighting a data stream from a school on a distant world. "They don't even question it. To them, quantum consciousness is as natural as sight or sound." The Ancient One moved through the data, its form rippling with something akin to joy. "We spent millennia building walls between consciousness and quantum reality, never realizing we were cutting ourselves off from our own nature." Zixtal accessed her memories of that first meeting with humanity, now seeing it with new understanding. Earth hadn't developed advanced technology. They had simply remembered what consciousness truly was. The quantum integration wasn't an advancement. It was a return to a natural state. "There are still challenges," Webb acknowledged, his consciousness highlighting pockets of resistance throughout the galaxy. "Some fear losing their identity, their uniqueness." "They'll learn," Chen responded softly, "just as we did, that quantum integration doesn't erase individuality. It enhances it. Each consciousness remains distinct, while being part of something greater. The observatory filled with a real-time view of the galaxy, showing the quantum consciousness networks that now connected billions of beings, not through technology or artificial means, but through the natural resonance that had always existed between consciousness and quantum reality. The Council's role has changed, the Ancient One observed. We are no longer regulators of technology and progress. We have become guides for a natural evolution that we ourselves are still understanding. Zixtal watched as another civilization achieved spontaneous quantum awakening, their consciousness patterns blooming like flowers in the quantum field. We thought we were protecting the galaxy by restricting quantum research, she mused. Instead, we were holding back our own evolution. The real challenge, Chen added, was never the technology or the risks. It was learning to trust in the natural wisdom of consciousness itself. The view shifted again, showing Earth as it appeared now, a shining beacon of quantum consciousness that had helped awaken the galaxy to its own potential. But it wasn't just Earth anymore. Every world, every species that embraced their quantum nature became part of something greater, something that transcended traditional boundaries of space and time. This is just the beginning. Webb's consciousness resonated through the quantum field. We've taken the first steps into a new way of being. But the journey ahead is endless. The Ancient One's form shifted, embracing its new quantum nature fully. Perhaps this is what consciousness was always meant to be. Not divided and isolated, but connected and evolving, each unique part contributing to a greater whole. As they stood in the observatory, watching the galaxy transform one consciousness at a time, Zixtal realized that humanity's greatest gift hadn't been technology or power. It had been the courage to trust in the natural evolution of consciousness itself, to embrace rather than control, to grow rather than restrict. The new dawn they had all feared had become a sunrise of unlimited potential, illuminating not just the galaxy, but the very nature of existence itself. And in that light, every consciousness, every being, every civilization could finally begin to see what they truly were, unique expressions of a quantum reality that had always been waiting to be discovered.